Do you want to turn your side splits from this to this? Today, you'll learn the 5 best stretches to increase your lower body flexibility. These exercises are the perfect use of time because they build strength and mobility, increasing your range of motion permanently. I've helped hundreds of adults unlock their side splits, and I'm here to help you too. The horse stance is a great stepping stone for side split beginners because it's a safe and effective way to improve your hip mobility. Here's your checklist for perfect technique. You want to get into your widest squat stance. I recommend choosing the 5-step, going with toes out, heels out, toes out, heels out, toes out, and then lowering down into that horse stance position. You want to aim to squat down to 90 degrees where your hip crease is below the knees. Now you're going to have a proud chest posture, staying as upright as you can, tilting that pelvis anteriorly to create as much space so that you can sink deeper. Next, you want to drive the knees outwards using your glutes to push the knees apart so that they're over the middle of your foot. We don't want easy, we want effective. So keep the hands up and stay present. The horse stance transforms your mental toughness. When you're doing these isometric holds, it feels like an eternity. Your muscles will be burning, your body will be shaking, your brain will be telling you to stop, but you keep showing up workout after workout. It becomes tolerable. You develop this new threshold for being able to stay in that stretch isometrically, pushing the comfort zone. The benefit of horse stance is increasing hip mobility. You're actually getting stronger, strength at length, being able to use your own muscles, your groin muscles, to stay in that deep position actively. If you look at the horse stance, it is very similar to the side splits. It's basically just a bent leg side split, depending on how wide apart your legs are. So this builds up that specificity to increase our range of motion and strength for our end stage goal. There's 3 main ways to progress your horse stance. You can increase the range of motion by taking a wider stance, a 7-step or even a 9-step horse stance. You can take this one for longer holds. 60 seconds, 90 seconds, 2 minutes. You can really push the time under tension and develop some absolutely steel, bulletproof side split adductor muscles. If that's not enough of a challenge for you, of course, you can do weighted horse stances, and this one is really going to build more strength in that end range. The Taylor's pose is the ultimate groin stretch that's going to make your hips feel A+. When setting up for this one, you want to be mindful of the following cues. Firstly, you want to get your back as close to the wall as possible, keeping that proud upright posture throughout. Next, you're going to bring your feet in as close as you can towards your groin to maximize the stretch and the strength of the adductor muscles. You'll notice that I'm using blocks here, and this is to act as a tactile guide, a range of motion target that we can aim for to try and push the limits of how far that we can stretch our groin. This is a form of self-coaching. If you had someone else there saying, just pull down that little bit deeper, it's essentially the same thing, so it's perfect for solo training. Think of this as just a warm-up and an activation. You're doing a handful of reps just to get the adductors and the glutes firing in preparation for the real work, the weighted Taylor's pose. You're trying to use a slow and controlled negative, trying to use your muscles as brakes as you spread your knees apart towards the bottom. I recommend pausing at that end range, really squeezing to own and strengthen your mobility with your knees wide apart. Be mindful of that negative. Don't rush it. Don't skip it. When you get tired, you want to go faster, but you need to stay dominant to get the most out of Taylor's pose. Most of you watching can start with 5 to 10 kilos safely and effectively on this exercise. Progressing upwards to 20 plus kilos is definitely possible for this reason. Don't be afraid of loading this one up heavy because you've got a bent knee position, and this reduces passive tension in your adductors. They're mechanically strong in the Taylor's pose because they're working at that mid-length position. Just think about if you are doing a biceps curl, you're strongest with your arm flexed to 90 degrees. A similar type of thing happens with the Taylor's pose. Because the legs are bent to 90 degrees, you're much stronger in this position as opposed to being in the side splits where your legs are straight. Reps plus a hold is the perfect way to program the Taylor's pose because the reps, they expand your range of motion from rep to rep. You're going deeper, and that isometric hold at the end, it solidifies strength and builds it at that stretch where we want it most. This one opens your hips into external rotation. This way, your femur, which is your thigh bone, can sit properly within the acetabulum, the hip socket, allowing you to reach your maximum range of motion potential. The Taylor's pose helps to reduce that bony impingement. Some of you get that pinching on the front of your hip. It allows you to spread your legs further apart into greater abduction. Your goal with the Taylor's pose is to eventually get your knees touching the ground. A progression is to elevate your bum as well as your feet on something like yoga blocks, just to expand your range of motion so that your knees can drop actually further below ground height. What's unique about Taylor's pose is it strengthens the adductors in their shortened range, which is a great complement to our long range training, which we do with things like our side splits or Cossack squats, which are to come. The Cossack squat is one of the best lower body mobility exercises that you can do. It's ideal for people who are completely new, you've never done stretching before, or you're someone who is more advanced, because of the way that you can use variation and progression to unlock your body's full potential. If you take a look at the bottom of a Cossack squat, it's essentially just a one-leg side split. What's special is it improves your active mobility, not just passive flexibility, meaning you can actually use your range of motion and be strong in it. You want to choose a stance width that allows you to squat as deep as possible. You'll play around and find the sweet spot for you. You'll notice that the feet are facing forward with this particular variation, and this is going to emphasize your adductors on the inside of the thigh. You see some people do the Cossack squat with the toes facing up towards the ceiling. That bias a bit more of the hamstring, which isn't the goal of today's video. I like doing alternating reps with the Cossack squat, going from the left to the right side, back and forth. I count one rep as left and right. This is a form of rest pause. When one side's working, the other side is on relative rest. This keeps your rep quality high, your range of motion going to be maximum, and you're not running into that temptation to rush and go through the motions when you start to get tired. Cossack squats are all about the negative. You're strengthening those adductors as they're being stretched on the eccentric. Use a more controlled tempo than you feel comfortable. In particular, that bottom range of motion, do not skip it. Do not go quickly, because that's where all the magic happens. When you're stretching to that end range, when you're pausing at the bottom, this is going to teach your body how to own the position. The ideal rep range for Cossack squats is 5 to 10. It's such a large range of motion. There's a huge time under tension. You're also doing a unilateral exercise, because however many reps you do, you've got to double it as well. Doing these weighted Cossacks builds up that foundation so that you can actually do any side split training safely without your body freaking out, without there being increased risk of aches, pains, muscle tears. You got to build up that foundation. There's just no skipping steps. An epic way to improve your side splits, being able to kick wider and higher apart and to strengthen your glutes, is the lying pendulum. This one you set up on your back, you flex your hips to 90 degrees, you keep your legs straight. Now the fun begins. You're going to spread your legs as wide apart as you can, keeping one foot on the ground. You should feel that glute really cramping and just contracting as hard as possible. When you've got to your maximum range, you teeter-tot over like a seesaw into the other direction. Bring your legs together and you repeat this process side to side. Afterwards, anything that you do is going to feel A+. Your hips will be limbered up and you'll be ready for any type of serious mobility training. The fire hydrant, aka pissing dog, which is aptly named, is an exercise that you're going to love to hate. Real talk, I know this looks weird. It almost looks like a gimmick, and most of you probably don't want to be doing this in a public gym unless you know why. The benefits outweigh how awkward and niche this movement looks. The body works as an integrated unit. By strengthening the glutes, it improves that hip stability. When your body sees things as safe, it's going to go deeper. Your nervous system and your muscles, they won't be holding on as much. Many people plateau with their side splits because they never address the antagonist muscle being the glutes. So if you want to be able to kick like Bruce Lee, do not skip this one. The most important thing with this mobility exercise is setting up against a wall. It's going to prevent you from rocking over to the side and cheating. It's going to isolate all of it to your legs, improving your hip mobility. Just think about spreading your leg as wide apart as you can and keeping that knee as high as possible. With this one, you really get out what you put in. You can kind of just extend the leg and then just not really push the limits of your range of motion and strength, or you can squeeze both butt cheeks as hard as physically possible. Do not let that knee drop at all and extend to the maximum of your ability. Progressing range of motion is the name of the game. Now, I could just say kick higher, but what does that mean? And if you don't have any way of measuring things, it's hard to get motivated from workout to workout. What I like to use is either a squat rack with numbers that I can try and kick towards, or I set up a ring strap, and this gives me an objective marker that I can write and also know if I'm making gains from week to week. For the beasts watching, add ankle weights, and it doesn't actually take much to be challenged because the weight is distally on the lever, so a light weight is going to feel really heavy. A really powerful way to progress your side splits is using contract relax, sometimes called PNF. It's basically a way of using contractions to make your body relax into its deepest stretch and maximum range for the day. You want to set up your side splits so you've got hand support. This way you can offload some of your body weight, make you feel safe as you stretch into the side splits, so that if you have to come out of it, you can always exit safely. You're going to lower down slowly, breathing calmly until you get that first resistance to stretch. Then you're going to contract your adductors by squeezing your feet in towards the ground, using a 7 out of 10 contraction intensity. 10 out of 10 being as hard as you possibly can, just easing off a little bit. Hold that contraction for 5 seconds. On a breath out, relax, sink deeper, keep lowering until you meet that next resistance to stretch. And then you're going to repeat this contraction followed by relaxing once again. After a few of these contract relax, generally around 3 to 5 in a row, you're going to hit your maximum depth. You're not going to be able to go deeper in your side splits. You want to set the timer for your isometric side split hold once you've hit maximum depth. That first part's not doing anything. You want to spend the most time under stretch in your deepest ROM for the day. 1 to 2 minute side split holds is perfect because the adductor muscles are huge. They respond to long holds as well as these contract relaxed methods. Minimize how much you're helping with the hands. This is going to turn it from more of a passive stretch into more of an active mobility exercise. Please take your time exiting the position. Your legs are going to feel a little bit drunk because you've had this massive time under tension. Your muscles have been contracting at those long muscle lengths. You need to get out of it slowly. Breathe. Make sure that your body feels calm exiting. You don't want it to seem as a threat. Oh, well, you're holding your breath and oh, it's so hard. Here are the most important success principles for side splits. You want to stretch to the point of discomfort, not pain. If it hurts, your range of motion is going to be limited. Plus, you're at increased risk of some type of muscle tear by stretching too hard. Range of motion is the progressive overload principle. You're trying to increase your mobility, so always choose a technique, an intensity, a duration, or an amount of weight lifted that allows you to go as deep as possible. Progress isn't linear in mobility training. It's a common myth that your flexibility is going to increase every single time that you stretch. This doesn't happen in the gym, and it doesn't happen when we're working on our mobility either. With stretching, it's normal to plateau or even regress. You need to be patient, trust the process, show up consistently, and long term, you will make improvements. 1 to 2 times per week is perfect for training your side splits. There's a myth that you have to stretch every day. This can actually hinder your recovery, and it can actually waste you time. Sometimes less is more. And if you need more help with your side splits, check out Side Split Pro by Fitness FAQs. I'll help you unlock your full potential. Adult flexibility, no problem. Check out this program. I'll be your coach and teach you everything you need to know.